Welcome to Echoes Untold, where history whispers, and we listen. Today, we're diving deep, both literally and figuratively, into one of the most tragic events in modern naval history, the sinking of the Russian submarine Kursk. This story isn't just about a vessel lost to the depths of the Barents Sea. It's about the 118 men aboard, a mix of seasoned sailors and young recruits, fathers and sons, whose final moments were a blend of bravery, despair, and untold sacrifice. Before we begin, take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe. The Kursk was no ordinary submarine. She was the pride of the Russian Northern Fleet, an Oscar II-class nuclear-powered cruise missile submarine. Measuring 154 meters in length and weighing over 24,000 tons submerged, she was built to withstand the pressures of both the ocean and wartime. Her double-hulled design was a feat of engineering, offering added protection against attacks. She carried an arsenal of 24 P-700 Granite cruise missiles, each capable of obliterating an aircraft carrier. To her crew and commanders, the Kursk was more than just a weapon, it was a fortress beneath the waves. But even fortresses have weaknesses. By the year 2000, Russia's economic struggles had left much of its navy underfunded. Maintenance was often delayed, and technology that was once cutting-edge became outdated. The Kursk was no exception. Among her torpedoes was the Type 6576A, a powerful but volatile weapon that relied on hydrogen peroxide as a propellant. This chemical, when improperly stored or maintained, could become a ticking time bomb. And on August 12, 2000, it did. August 12, 2000. The Kursk, flagship of the Russian Northern Fleet, was participating in a large-scale naval exercise in the Barents Sea. This was the Russian Navy's most ambitious drill in years, involving 30 warships, several submarines, and over 50 aircraft. For the 118 men aboard the Kursk, this was business as usual, a chance to showcase the submarine's strength and their own discipline. Among them were experienced officers and young sailors fresh from training, eager to prove their mettle. But beneath the surface, a hidden danger lurked in the Kursk's arsenal: the aging Type 6576A torpedoes. Powered by volatile hydrogen peroxide, these weapons were relics of a bygone era. Maintenance had been lax, and their instability was an open secret. It was a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. At 11:28 a.m., the crew loaded one of these torpedoes for a practice launch. Unbeknownst to them, a small crack or defect in its casing allowed hydrogen peroxide to leak. The initial blast was catastrophic. Equivalent to 100 kilograms of TNT, it ripped through the forward compartment, killing all 7 men stationed there instantly. The shockwave reverberated through the submarine, stunning the crew in adjacent sections. But the Kursk's nightmare had only begun. 2 minutes and 15 seconds later, a second explosion, far more devastating, tore through the vessel. This blast, equivalent to 2 tons of TNT, obliterated much of the forward structure and breached the hull. The submarine, now crippled, sank rapidly to the seafloor, coming to rest at a depth of 108 meters, 354 feet. In the aft section of the submarine, 23 survivors gathered in the 9th compartment. Among them was Captain Lieutenant Dmitry Kolesnikov, a man whose calm under pressure would leave behind one of the most poignant records of this tragedy. Using a piece of paper, Kolesnikov documented their situation. His note read, "All personnel from compartments 6, 7, and 8 moved to compartment 9. We are 23 people. None of us can get to the surface. Imagine their plight." The compartment was dark, cold, and rapidly filling with water. Oxygen levels were dwindling, and the carbon dioxide scrubbers struggled to keep the air breathable. They had no way to communicate with the surface. All they could do was wait, for rescue or for death. The men lit chemical candles to generate oxygen, but even these posed a risk. A malfunction could ignite a fire, and in an environment starved of oxygen, even a small flame could become catastrophic. And it did. The Russian Navy quickly realized something was wrong. When the Kursk failed to report back, search efforts began. Within hours, sonar operators detected her location, but the true scale of the disaster was not yet clear. In the critical hours after the explosions, time was of the essence. The 23 men trapped in the ninth compartment had limited oxygen, rising carbon dioxide levels, and no way to communicate with the surface. Their survival depended on a swift rescue. But bureaucracy and secrecy would doom them. The Russian government delayed announcing the disaster for over 24 hours. Initially, they reported only that the Kursk was experiencing technical difficulties. Offers of help from Norway, Britain, and the United States poured in, but they were rejected. The Kursk was equipped with classified weaponry, and Russian officials feared exposing their military secrets to foreign eyes. They believed their own rescue teams could handle the situation, but this misplaced confidence proved fatal. Rescue attempts were plagued by technical failures. Russia's Priz-class rescue submersibles were outdated and ill-suited for the task. They made repeated attempts to dock with the Kursk's escape hatch but failed each time. Days passed, and hope for the trapped men dwindled. Meanwhile, the international teams, equipped with modern technology, waited on standby. It wasn't until August 20th, 8 days after the disaster, that Norwegian divers were finally allowed to assist. When the Norwegian divers reached the Kursk, they found no survivors. The men in the ninth compartment had perished, likely within hours of the disaster. Carbon dioxide poisoning and a fire caused by a malfunctioning oxygen candle had sealed their fate. The tragedy of the Kursk was not just the explosions that sank her. It was the indecision, the pride, and the bureaucracy that cost 23 men their last, fragile chance at survival. Their deaths were avoidable, their suffering prolonged by a failure to act decisively. The Kursk disaster shocked the world and devastated Russia. Questions were raised about the government's handling of the crisis. Could more lives have been saved if international help had been accepted earlier? Could the disaster itself have been prevented with better maintenance and oversight? For the families of the 118 men, these questions offered little solace. They had lost fathers, brothers, sons. They were left with grief, anger, and a deep sense of betrayal. But the Kursk also left behind lessons. It spurred improvements in submarine safety protocols and international cooperation in rescue operations. It reminded us of the human cost of pride and bureaucracy. The ocean is vast, and its depths are unforgiving. But it is in these depths that we find the echoes of stories like the Kursk, stories of bravery, sacrifice, and lessons paid for in blood. This is Echoes Untold, where history whispers, and we listen. If this story resonated with you, if it made you think or feel, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let's ensure that the voices of the past are never drowned out by the tides of time.